Hi. Okay, look. No more screwing around. I've done enough fantasizing about a life where I wasn't being gang stalked by a bunch of psychopaths. So let's get on with this shit, okay? Now, in the first video, I kind of went into a brief summation about what went on in the Brent Mind meeting today. Okay, so I'll go into a little bit more detail. And I'll try to draw from what I can remember. So, when we had the meeting, it was me, it was management, and it was E. B was conspicuously absent. I wonder why that is. Now, the first thing that we discussed was the break-in and the visitor thing. That's the first thing we discussed. We actually discussed more about the details of the CCTV. And as I explained on here, I said the same thing to them, that E changed her story 3 times. And that, basically my mental health was being used to conceal Brent Mind's wrongdoing. And, okay, management did what they usually did. They assured me that wasn't the case, What they had to say was really quite reasonable. If you look at things from the surface, what management had to say was really quite reasonable. They said that these are things that we normally do when we become concerned about, somebody's mental health well-being. And the fact that you took a picture of a shampoo bottle and showed it to us means that we were concerned that you were mentally ill because you got obsessed about the shampoo bottle. And I'm thinking, why do they keep fixating on a shampoo bottle? Like, why do they keep fixating on that? Even I didn't fixate on that. All right, so basically it says you were quite fixated on this shampoo bottle because I took a picture of a shampoo bottle and showed it to you guys as well as to mine, right? Basically like as a collection of evidence for gaslighting. Because like I said, when I make a mess, there's threats of reports and stuff like that. And then when everybody else makes a mess, that's cool and people let it slide and it's just part of living with people. And at least I thought the report is what was going on until management told me, actually, Amoral had not been, they don't call her Amoral. I don't use real names. So I don't use real names when I live with someone. So basically they said, well, Amoral hasn't been complaining about you. That's literally what they said. I have a live video from the 5th of July. Granted, Facebook doesn't accidentally delete that. But on the 5th of July, during an argument that I had with Amoral over the bath, she said, you know what, I've reported you for not washing out the bath and this, that and the other. And then management turn around and tell me, well, actually, that's not the case. Amoral hasn't made any reports. And then I said, not even on the 5th of July. I was sitting on camera evidence when management said that shit. I was sitting on camera evidence and she was going to sit there and lie to me and say that Amoral had not complained about me. When Amoral herself said that she'd reported me for not cleaning out the bath. It's camera evidence. It's camera evidence which I could show right here on Facebook from the 5th of July. It's there. In fact, that's one of the only videos Facebook didn't delete, conveniently. Well, you watch what happens. That video is going to disappear too. I bet you any money. Because it's proof that management were lying, or Amoral was lying, or they're both lying. That's what I'm saying. If you listen to management on the surface, if you meet them and you listen to them, they're very clear, they're very concise. And they're very logical in their explanations. But you've got to read between the lines of everything that they're saying. And that's what I realize with these people. There are some people, some stalkers, right, that are phenomenally good at their jobs. Not all stalkers are stupid and can't think for themselves and don't know their arse from their elbow. I like to call stalkers stupid because, to me, you have to be stupid to work with a bunch of people who rape and kill kids. But to me, right, there are some stalkers that just because they make the wrong decisions long term, it doesn't mean they don't know how to do their jobs and they don't know how to keep up appearances. Management is one of those people. They know how to keep up appearances. So on the surface, she's telling me all these things about, you know, the shampoo bottle, and that's why we were concerned about your mental health. And I've explained, I said, well, I've explained this to you several times. It was a cumulative effect. I'm not a tidy person. I'm a very messy person. Okay? If I show you my room right now, you'll see a whole bunch of mess. Yeah, I'm not going to do that to you. I don't want to make your eyes bleed. But basically, my room is really messy most of the time. I have a hard time keeping it clean. I'm not a tidy person. So this is not about cleanliness. My thing is, how is Amoral going to turn around and tell me she's got OCD and you need to clean this up, and she's leaving the house in a complete state with stains and bottle caps and empty bottles everywhere? That, come on now, that don't even make sense. That's why I was saying it was gaslighting and it was harassment. And I actually made it clear to them in the meeting that you're not taking this seriously. And instead, every single time I complain about this issue, it's like, well, we can always move you somewhere else. And the thing is, management thought she'd got me when she started saying, well, you know, apparently you think we're trying to mob you out. And then I said, well, yeah, I think that is the case, yeah. I didn't hold back. I said, yeah, that is the case, or at least it would appear to be. Because every single time I bring up an issue that Brent Mind have not been doing their jobs properly, suddenly there's concern for my mental health over a certain issue. It happens all the time. That's why I said, that's another reason why I need records of the last 4 years of the correspondences that have been happening between Brent Mind and mental health services, so that it can prove what I'm saying. And they've got the evidence logged. Unless they falsify it, they can do that too. But that's why I say I need evidence of 4 years of correspondence between them and Brent Mind, is because it will prove without doubt what I'm saying. That's why I always ask for proof. That's why I've been asking for evidence. Because, you know, they're just basically leading me around a garden path, and then it ends with, okay, we've got a new flat. You keep saying you have a new flat, and then like months later, it's like it doesn't materialize. And that's when management was rational and reasonable again. They told me, look, you know, it's not quick like that. And it's true, it's not quick like that. Even with people who were actually doing their jobs and meant me well, it wouldn't be a quick process. So all these reasonable things and these rational things is something that management uses to hide their covert gaslighting and manipulation behind. They hide it behind very, very reasonable explanations. And as for the CCTV thing, I said to them, have you, like I said before in the first video, I said, have you found out who it is yet? And they said, well, he was wearing a hood, so we don't know. And then I said, well, bring the footage here. I can tell you who it is. They refused to do that, and you know, and the police haven't seen it yet, and they're waiting for the police to identify him. I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? When B was checking the CCTV and we saw Leon Rowe, aka Cracky, trying to break into the house, or he did break into the house and steal shit. When we saw evidence of Cracky breaking into the house and stealing a TV, I was right there with B when B was a support worker. I was right there with her and we both identified him. So I don't understand why things are different this time unless Brent Mind are trying to cover something up. Because the thing is, the break-in that happened when I reported it and the break-up on the CCTV camera is directly in line with them not telling me the truth about Amoral's visitor ban. Which they needed to tell everyone about, not just me. Not just me. This is not just about me. It's about everybody in the house. Because Amoral is very annoying and she has a lot of dangerous people in her corner. One of these days she's going to fuck with the wrong one and get someone killed in it. So that's why it was important for Mind to say something, but they didn't. They neglected to. And as a result, somebody broke in here or tried to break in here, busted the door down. It was Amoral's brother or cousin. Because they were calling her name outside. I didn't tell them this. Because then they would have just said, oh, that's part of your imagination. Because I know how they work. But I heard Amoral's name being called from outside. before the door was busted. And the bell was rung like about, like 4 or 5 times, and it was really, really drawn out. So I can only imagine that Amoral's relatives were worried about her because, she's gone AWOL before. I've reported that on my Facebook. She's gone AWOL before. And a lot of people have expressed concern about her when she goes AWOL like that. So from my mind, I think what happened is that her relative feared that she was going to commit suicide or something. And he's like, no, I can't have this. I need to know if she's here. And I think that's the reason why Amoral's relative, most likely her brother, broke down the door, because he wanted to know how she was, and he was concerned for her welfare. And I think that's why he did it. But it is still a breach of security. You're in a house full of vulnerable women. What kind of idiot breaks down a door of a house full of vulnerable women? Before you just call the police and try to get them over there and try to find out exactly what happened, you're breaking down the door? Like, what are you doing? And then Maura's got 2 brothers, not one. She's got 2 brothers, and one of them I actually met in hospital. Before I even got to know Amoral, I actually met her brother first. When he came into hospital because he hadn't slept and he hadn't had insomnia. I shouldn't really discuss his business, but I met Amoral's brother before I met her. That's normally how it happens with stalkers. You meet somebody connected to the stalker and then you meet the stalker. Yeah? So, to my mind, it was Amoral's brother. It was her ill brother. And he probably wanted to know whether she was okay or not. I think that's what happened. So, basically, management didn't give me the footage for me to look at and stuff like that. Of course, they're not going to do that. After it was me that gave them the time of the person breaking in, after it was me giving them the time, they wouldn't show me. That's not normally the way they do things. Normally the way they do things is they show me the footage because I'm the one who reported it in the first place. Yeah? Normally what they'll do is they'll show me the footage and I can identify whether it's that person or not. But they didn't do that this time because they need to cover up their negligence from the first group of texts saying, oh, it's confidential. And then suddenly it's not confidential when you're talking about the visitor ban. Suddenly it's not confidential. Like, which is it? And then you're going to change your story 3 times when it comes to the CCTV cameras. And then you're going to tell me you identified somebody, but you can't see who it is. You know who the fuck it is. I know who the fuck it is. Okay? And the only reason why you're concealing it is because it reveals your negligence. Now, that was the CCTV thing handled. It wasn't handled. It wasn't resolved. It was basically like, it was basically saying, oh, we only did it because we were concerned. We connected it to your mental health because we were concerned about you. That's where they left it. Yeah. And I said, I wasn't happy with it, but I said, okay, you know what, whatever. Let's move on to the next topic. So they said that, they said the next topic was concerns about your mental health. So they went more into the mental health side of things now. Because this is where I was pissed off when I sent that letter originally. When I sent that email originally, I was very pissed off with the situation. And I said, I need 4 years of evidence from Brent Mind and mental health, correspondence between the 2 of you about my mental health. And I need 4 years of evidence of that. And they said that I would need permission from mental health. Understandable. Because Brent Mind are a charity. They're not civil service. So Brent Mind are a charity, they're not civil service. So the first port of call would be mental health, and I don't know why I didn't think of that. Now, when it came to, that's when all the stuff to do with C, the last support worker before E, that's when I brought up everything that C was doing and all the maneuvers that she was making. She wasn't very good at lying. I mean, she lied, but it's like, she wasn't very good at it. It was very obvious. Yeah. So it was basically, I basically told management, I said, look, Clarissa, shit, well, I can say her name now. Clarissa sat me down and said, we talked about the situation, and then she said, whether you're ready or not, you have to move out at some point. It's like, what I really get frustrated at with Brent Mind is that when they fuck up and you complain about it, first they want you to move out, then they're not trying to push you out, then they are trying to push you out, then they're not trying to push you out. It's like they can't decide which it is, right? Now I know it takes time to move someone out, but they can't. It's like they can't seem to decide what they're doing. I really got to fix this. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like they can't decide what they're doing. So my thing was this. It really came down to this. I felt like whenever I complained to Brent Mind about their handling of a situation, whether it be their handling of a moral, harassing and gaslighting me, whether it be, something else to do with the house, my mental health is always called into question, and it's always revolved around one particular thing, rather than a cumulative effect to try to make me look crazy. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it always ends with, well, you've got to move out sometime. And with regards to that, what management said is that I had 7 days to decide. They did not say that to me. I was in the meeting. They said to me, we have a place for you, but it's not guaranteed. We need you to decide now whether or not you want to take it. In fact, they didn't tell me that there was a deadline. They didn't tell me that there was a deadline to decide. They said, we have a flat for you. It's not in place yet. I said, look, I don't want to say yes to something when it's not guaranteed. Because they kept telling me there's a training flat for you. There's a training flat for you. And nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's in place. So that's why I said I'd rather have something in place first before I move out. But instead they took it as she doesn't want to move out at any point, which is not what I said. It's not what I said. It's not what I said. I didn't say I didn't want to move out. Sorry, excuse me. I didn't say I didn't want to move out. I never said that. What I said is come to me when you have something fixed and when you have something ready, so that I can at least go and look at it and see if it's up to standard for me living there. That's what I said. But instead they tried to write it off as a no. Oh no, she didn't want to move. When it wasn't even guaranteed. You said it yourself. So why am I going to say yes to something that's not guaranteed? And if I was first in line, like management explained to me today, then why would you not tell me that I was first in line when we had that meeting? Why would you not tell me that? You see, that's what I'm saying. They come up with rational explanations at the moment, but all their actions leading up to that moment, it doesn't add up. And that's why I was sitting there. I was kind of nervous going into the meeting because I didn't know what was going to happen. I can rehearse in my room and in my mind about what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do. But when you're there in the moment, it's a completely different story. And it absolutely was a different story. I thought I was going to fall apart going in there, but I realized I was the one telling the truth. They were the one being dishonest. And it just made me feel like, well, why am I going to be intimidated by you? You're the one who keeps changing your story. Like, I'm not the one changing my story. I'm being honest over here. I'm telling everything. When you are honest, there's nothing to remember. I realized I was probably the only one in that room who was internally calm. I was probably the only one in that room who wasn't nervous. Everybody else was jittery, and I could see it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I was nervous, and then I got in there, and I'm like, these people are lying to me right now. And I know they're lying to me. You know what? Let it ride. Let's hear what they have to say. And when I heard what they had to say, what they said was, like I said, I'm not going to go over it into it and how reasonable it was, because I'm not going to repeat myself. But long story short, they said, we're not trying to mob you out of the house or trick you out of the house. That's exactly what they're trying to do. That's exactly what they're trying to do, because they don't want anybody finding out about the hidden cameras in the house. I mean, it's a bit late. But they don't want anybody finding out about the hidden cameras in the house, nor do they want anybody finding out about, what's going, them protecting a moral for no good reason. They don't want anybody knowing about that. So, of course, they're going to try and get me out of here as soon as possible. Why wouldn't they? I don't think I'm being very clear about the meeting. I'm probably rambling, but let me, so the first point was the CCTV, which they lied about. They still haven't revealed to me who the culprit is yet. They haven't let me look at him to identify him, which to me means they're trying to drag this out for as long as possible. Second of all, they talked about my mental health being unstable and stuff like that. And I said, Brent might have done this repeatedly, where I have had my mental health challenged because I dared to challenge the way they were conducting their business. The third point came to me needing 4 years worth of correspondence, And I said, well, how does this normally work? And they said, well, you need to go to mental health for that and not us. And I thought, okay, makes sense. And then I talked about postal orders. I said, do they still accept postal orders? And she said, management said, I don't know about that. They normally have that for prisoners. That was a shot. That was a shot. Okay. So that was a shot at me because they know I've been talking about them publicly. So they know I've been talking about them publicly, and they know that I've been basically taunting and taunting the people who are gaslighting and taunting me. So basically they're trying to turn it around on me, saying we can have you going to prison. Okay, fine. Up to you. But yeah, I asked about postal orders, and they said, yeah, I think only prison people do that. But, I got the postal orders today, so evidently that's not true. So what was I going to say? Yeah, so I got the postal orders. The postal order, the police thing was a slight. They also said during the CCTV discussion that the police are not investigating anything. Again, rational explanation. There's been austerity. There's been cuts. So unless it's life or death, they're not going to investigate. That's due to the cuts. That's due to the Conservatives cutting the police force. Yeah. At the same time, it's also another excuse for the police not to do their jobs. It's a cover for them. They can use the austerity cuts to make out like, our hands were tied, we couldn't do anything. They can make the Conservatives have given the police an out. Now the police can make excuse saying the cuts have handicapped them. So they said they're not investigating anything. And I'm like, yeah, well, that makes sense. But what you're leaving out is that they're also working for Freemasons, the same Freemasons who are targeting me. That's what you're leaving out. So, so basically they were trying to say to me, well, you can call the police on us, but they ain't investigating no one. So good luck with that, bitch. That's what they were telling me. Do you know what I mean? And they said that there was a flat in Harlesden that was possibly in place for me, and that they would need to get a court order to have that sorted out. I personally can't wait to go back to Harlesden. If that's actually the case, and I'm going to be moving back to Harlesden, oh baby, I cannot wait, bitch. I can't wait. That's going to be wicked. When I go back there, and all those people who thought they got me out of Harlesden, they're going to be like, oh shit. Yep. And they've been reading and following my Twitter too, through Harlesden News. So they know everything that's been said. They know they've been exposed the hell out of. I'm going to have so much goddamn fun dragging them through the mud, revealing all their goddamn shit. I'm going to have so much fun. Bring it on. If that's where I'm going, that's where I'm going. I don't care, bruh. So that's how the meeting ended. The meeting ended with, we're not lying about the CCTV cameras and the visitor ban. You are, Brent Mind. It ended with, we're not trying to trick you out of the house and use your mental illness in order to do it. You are, Brent Mind. And we're not trying to, and we can't help you with the evidence because you need to go to mental health. That's true. So out of 3 things, you've only been honest about 1 thing in the entire meeting. Who's shocked? Not me. So anyway, I gotta go. This is probably quite a boring video because I'm not my normal, hyper self, but I've just eaten and I'm very, very secure right now. You know when your eyes get as wide as the Pacific Ocean, but your stomach can only manage a chip? That's what happened today. I thought, you know what, I'm so hungry, I could eat everybody. I could eat everybody in front of me, but no, it didn't happen like that. The first thing I went for was the Coke, and I'm like, oh. And then after that, I wasn't hungry anymore, so. Ain't that always the way? But anyway, I gotta go. Thank you for watching me. And I really apologize for the rambling. The thing is, they've been firing weapons at my brain, so formulating ideas and getting my mind organized is a bit more difficult than normal, because they've really been hitting me hard around this area of my brain. So they've been affecting my frontal lobe, my temporal lobe, and my cerebral cortex. So they've really been affecting those parts of my brain that's affecting my speech and my memory. But I hope you get the gist of everything that I'm saying. Brent Mind are liars. Mind staff are liars. They're working for some very nefarious people for some very nefarious ends. And if I were you as a mental health person, as a vulnerable person, I would watch the hell out for these civil servants and for these charities. Because that is where the Freemasons and all these secret societies, that's where they do the most infiltrating. It's through programs for vulnerable people, for people who need the most help. Please watch out for them. Be on your P's and Q's, learn the law, and please be on your guard. This is not a joke. Okay? Anyway, I have to go. I have to charge this thing. So you take care. Goodbye.